All right, word nerds and spelling champions, welcome. Today, we are cracking open a truly massive, absolutely fascinating tome, the Great MORT Vocabulary Encyclopedia. In this explainer, we're going to explore over 50, yes, 50 essential words that every single championship speller needs to know. Now, we aren't just looking at the root word mort, which, as we know, means death. We're actually going to see how it branches out like a wild vine into highly specialized vocabulary all across the real world. Here is our game plan for today. We'll be hitting 6 distinct sections: medicine and science, biology and botany, humanities and history, religion and philosophy, our advanced spelling lexicon, and finally, real texts and challenges.
Section 1. Medicine and Science.
Okay, it's pretty fascinating how these clinical terms build directly on the MORT root to describe absolutely crucial healthcare practices. Just look at the precision here. We've got postmortem, which literally translates to after death, sitting right alongside antemortem, occurring before death, and perimortem, meaning right around the time of death. Then you have your professionals, right? A mortician, who is highly trained in mortuary science, perhaps working alongside a mortuary attendant or a mortuary technician inside a mortuary chapel. These aren't just spooky Halloween words. They are the exact standard mortuary practice terms used by the medical field every single day.
And it's not just doctors. Scientists and researchers utilize this root heavily in statistical models too. When ecologists track populations, they don't just say animals pass away. They analyze a specific mortality rate or graph a mortality curve. You see variations of this everywhere: mortality ratio, mortality statistics, or referencing a mortality table. Whether they're conducting a comprehensive mortality study, running a mortality analysis, or just trying to pinpoint a specific mortality risk or mortality factor, this vocabulary is literally the backbone of demographic research. Moving right along to Section 2, Biology and Botany.
Okay, this is where it gets kind of wild. Here, we uncover biological vocabulary where organisms seemingly defy the very root we are studying. By just slapping on the prefix "im," meaning not, biology gives us immortal cells and the immortal cell line. There's even an incredible immortal strain of creatures, like the famous immortal jellyfish, which can actually revert its life cycle to start over. It achieves what scientists literally call biological immortality or cellular immortality. It's just so amazing how a root word dedicated to death is flipped to precisely describe life that refuses to end.
You probably wouldn't think plants fit in here, but understanding beautifully resilient plants is a crucial stop on our garden tour. Take the immortelle, for instance. This everlasting flower, scientifically known as helichrysum, retains its vibrant color and shape long after it's been picked. It is, quite literally, an undying flower. And from this plant, we extract immortelle oil, which is super highly prized in modern skincare. It's just a wonderful reminder that our vocabulary is deeply rooted in the physical quirks of the natural world.
Let's shift gears now into Section 3, Humanities and History. It is incredible to see how classic authors wove the MORT root into legendary literature. Right at the top here, we have memento mori, a famous Latin phrase meaning remember that you must die, which is a super common mortality theme in art and poetry. Writers absolutely love to contrast our mortal coil, the heavy burdens of temporary human life, with the pursuit of immortal fame. Through immortal verse, an immortal hero in an immortal legend can achieve an immortal memory that outlasts time itself. These words just carry so much emotional and dramatic weight.
Now prepare to have your mind blown a little bit as we dive into the legal archives. You hear the word mortgage all the time, right? But did you know it literally translates to a dead pledge? It's called that because the pledge dies either when the debt is finally paid off or when the payment fails. We've got the whole word family mapped out here: mortgagee, mortgagor, mortgaged, mortgaging, and mortgageable. And look down here at mortmain, literally meaning dead hand, and mortmain law, which refers to property passing into the eternal, unchanging ownership of a church or corporation. How cool is that historical context?
Stepping into Section 4, Religion and Philosophy.
In this serene, thoughtful space, we can carefully examine the descriptive terms used in religious texts. Notice the stark contrast they draw between a mortal sin, which is one that causes spiritual death, and a venial sin, which is considered less severe. These ancient texts frequently weigh our temporary mortal life, our fleeting mortal existence, against the eternal immortality of the soul. Think about that. These are massive, profound structural concepts, all built entirely on that single four-letter root.
And philosophers?
They are all over this exact same route to debate the big questions. Thinkers across centuries have argued endlessly about our mortal nature versus our immortal essence. Like, are we merely a mortal being trapped in a mortal condition, constantly grappling with our own mortality? Or is there some hidden pathway to immortality beyond our mortal existence? Getting the spelling of these conceptual phrases right is absolutely crucial because they form the very foundation of centuries of human reasoning.
Up next, Section 5, the Advanced Spelling Lexicon.
All right, spelling champs, lean in here because these intricate derivations are the exact secret weapons expert spellers use to take home the trophy. We move from the conceptual beliefs of immortalism, held by an immortalist, straight over to mortalism and the mortalist. But check out the center of this list, mortifer, and its terrifying adjectives, mortiferous and mortiferously, along with the noun mortiferousness, all of which basically mean death-bringing or deadly. And hey, if you misspell them on stage, you'll experience extreme embarrassment or mortification, which definitely has a mortificatory effect. Catching the specific suffixes on these words is everything.
Let's keep building that competitive edge by examining some highly specialized archaeological and forensic terms. Imagine having to spell mortuary archaeology or mortuary temple under bright stage lights, or nailing forensic terms like premortem, a post-mortem examination, and the very specific post-mortem interval, which is the time elapsed since death. Plus, we see the action-based, verb-driven variations of living forever, immortalization, being the immortalizer, getting immortalized, the very act of immortalizing, all ultimately leading to immortality. To round out our advanced lexicon, we have these heavy-hitting analytical phrases. A true champion has to recognize compound applications. I'm talking about terms like mortality experience, mortality schedule, reading a mortality pattern, building a mortality model, or diving into mortality research. Equipping yourself with this advanced mortality research vocabulary guarantees you won't be thrown off when the root MORT pairs up with these high-level academic concepts.
And finally, Section 6, real tests and challenges.
So where do we actually see these words out in the wild? They fall into beautifully distinct categories. Look on the left. Morning newspaper clippings hit us with cold, hard facts. You'll read about a mortality rate, see a post-mortem report on a failed business, read about a mortgage crisis, or parse mortality statistics. They might even praise a star athlete's immortal performance or their immortal legacy. But on the right, open a fantasy novel. Suddenly you're swept away reading about an immortal king or a mortal hero facing down a mortal enemy, trying to protect their immortal soul from a mortal wound. The context shifts dramatically, but the spelling remains rock solid.
Okay, let's put you to the test. It's your turn to be the spelling detective. Pause for a second and see if you can instantly map a random MORT word to its correct encyclopedia room. If I throw the word mortgage at you, does your brain immediately map it to law and history? If I say perimortem, do you jump straight to medicine? Organizing these words by their real-world category makes them so much easier to retrieve when you are standing up there at the microphone.
Hope your reflexes are ready. We are going to flash these new words rapidly across the screen. I want you to trust your instincts and recall their literal meanings before the answer drops. Seeing a massive word like mortiferousness or an old term like mortmain shouldn't scare you anymore, right? Your brain now has the exact architectural blueprint of how these letters fit together to build meaning.
Now for the ultimate champion challenge. Apply everything you've learned from this explainer today to predict the definitions of these entirely unfamiliar MORT mysteries popping up. Because you know the root, and you've seen exactly how suffixes and prefixes operate across medicine, law, botany, and literature, you can accurately deduce the meaning and the spelling of a word you have literally never seen before in your life. That, my friends, is the true power of a champion.
Wow, you literally just mastered over 50 crucial terms today. You now possess one of the absolute largest collections of MORT vocabulary out there. But our journey isn't quite over yet. Are you ready to uncover the hidden traps, the false relatives, and the sneaky language clues that trip up even the greatest spellers? Join us next time for Part 6, where we expose the ultimate spelling bee secrets. Until then, ask yourself, when you encounter a brand new word in the wild, will you be the one who finally decodes it?